Okay, it's recording.
Okay, so this one we're talking about Justin.
Mm-hmm.
The case. So we know that alcohol is a part of his history as a way to self-medicate. His depression that he stated he has suffered with, even in his adolescent age. And the fact that he wasn't really sure that it was depression, he just felt like that was just his way of dealing with his familial issues. Um, Again, as case number two, we had talked about, the Hispanic culture is slightly different in terms of them actually going for help, and or addressing issues, or feeling like it needs to be some type of title, or what's the word I'm trying to get, a diagnosis per se, about it, as you can see, like with his sister not wanting that stigma to be a part of her. She has the care, not characteristics, but the symptoms of depression, but she still doesn't want it to be categorized as that. And so that's something that clearly they have a hard time with, like, accepting, but we see that it is, in some form, almost genetic in a way, because his mother suffered from depression, himself, his sister, his father dealing with the alcoholism, um, the addictive personality. All those things are kind of like playing a role in Justin's life at this particular point. So, because of the fact that he's diagnosed with a major depressive disorder, it's asking, what is it that we would decide between Lexapro and Wellbutrin, and why would we feel that way? So,
Talked about going with Wellbutrin after looking into it a little bit more, because I kind of saw it might work better as a mood stabilizer overall.
Yeah, because it talks about it coming from two different families, right? Like they're the same drug in the sense that it treats the same thing, which is major depressive disorder, but it says that they come from two different groups of medication, where it says that the Wellbutrin comes from, let me get it right. Let's see. Okay, it says Wellbutrin comes from it's an inhibitor or something like that. Let me see.
Does anyone else want to add if they know?
Well, I mean, they both affect suicidal ideation, but it seems like the Wellbutrin helps more with mood issues, maybe like bipolar, if that could possibly be the case, and his such extreme depression. Help pull that out.
Yeah, we kind of talked about, this is jumping ahead, but how we would kind of want to rule out bipolar 2 specifically, since this depression is so low, and that is more common in bipolar 2.
Right. And he has such a history of mood disorders in his family. Also, maybe persistent depressive disorder might be one we want to rule out. I think we could talk to the psychiatrist about both of those.
Right. I think one of the other reasons why we decided to go with Wellbutrin was some of the side effects, or less side effects, I think, than the Lexapro when it comes to the weight gain, and I think sex drive, and some more of those
Yes, those are common with antidepressants.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, it says that Lexapro and Wellbutrin, they're antidepressants used to treat major depressive disorder, but they belong to different drug classes. So, whereas Lexapro is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, Wellbutrin is an aminoketin, ketin. So it says that they don't have the same mechanism of action, but they have similar side effects, like nausea, headache, dry mouth, insomnia, agitation, shaking, and restlessness.
We also wanted to kind of make sure he's not using any other, like he's not smoking or anything too. I think I've heard through my site that if he's on Wellbutrin, since that is an anti smoking kind of medication too, I've heard that those mixing can be kind of dangerous since they're countering each other.
Right.
So that was the one thing. It didn't say anything about that, but we just wanted to maybe talk to the prescriber or his psychiatrist about that.
Right.
If we could chat with her and then just inform her, you know, he doesn't seem to need detox right now, but he does have a history, sounds like, of alcohol dependency.
I'm wondering how they ended up ruling out the alcohol dependency. I guess because he had normal labs, but
Because he's currently sober. So, I mean, yeah, it could be a different diagnosis that we didn't explore. Like it could be in remission and should be considered and included before the psychiatrist prescribes, depending on how severe it was.
Right. But he used it to alleviate his symptoms. So as long as we can get a medication to help bring that mood up and help him stabilize, it should be okay. I would talk to the psychiatrist also about his suicidal ideation and just possibilities of watching for that in session.
right.
Yeah, and I think I don't, because I really couldn't hear. I know that for the diagnosis that could potentially be ruled out, it doesn't seem like bipolar would be one of the disorders that he would be diagnosed with, just because he doesn't have that manic personality. It seems like it's just simply the depression that he actually battles with, but also the addictive personality. But it does seem like he is able, because right now it says that he's been sober for what, 4 months. And so he was self-medicating. So it seems like the depressive disorder would seemingly be
Appropriate.
an appropriate diagnosis. But the only thing is, I'm thinking, like, is major depressive disorder, is that the diagnosis that he needs to have, or is it just by episode? Because it seems like he has times of not being depressed, but then going into that depression. You know what I mean? Like it's something that happens that makes him go into it, or that makes him spiral. So when he broke up with his girlfriend, it seems like he stopped drinking, but then once he stopped drinking, the depression got worse. So maybe major depressive disorder is okay. That would be it, because the only reason why he probably wasn't feeling as depressed is because the alcohol was being used to actually mask the symptoms. And so yeah, So yeah, I'm thinking it wouldn't be bipolar as a diagnosis, and major depressive disorder would probably be the better suited one.
I think another thing that might be good to talk to the psychiatrist about is that he's saying that his main issue for him is the sleeping. He's not getting any rest. When sleep deprivation can do a number of things to people as far as physically and mentally, and so it could be a major factor in how he's experiencing life because he's not able to sleep. I mean, it's our body's natural way of healing itself. So, I mean, as simple as that is, that could be a major part of what he's dealing with.
Well, did we talk about all?
So yeah, I was gonna ask anything else that we want to cover. We talked about and addressed all three questions. I don't know if you could hear us, Inez, or not, but we kind of went through each one. Well, yeah, I think we're probably good.
Yeah, I mean, because we're in agreement with everything. Wellbutrin is the drug of choice. That we would actually choose. Talked about, the diagnosis, and then, like Megan said, just addressing the suicidal ideations and talking to the psychiatrist, as well as talking about the drinking, although he is sober right now. Because psychiatrists' main thing is to prescribe medication. And so that is something that needs to be addressed if they are going to prescribe medication, because alcohol consumption does affect them in an adverse manner. So those are some of the things that will want to be reported. Oh, and also reporting to the family history of depression. And Megan had talked about too earlier about the mood disorder. Now that actually was just kind of vaguely thrown in there as it's just one little bitty statement about mood disorder, right? And we know that some mood disorders does have some depressive symptoms that kind of goes along with that. And so that is something that, could be looked at as well. But definitely the suicidal ideations, the alcohol intake, and the family history of depression are the things that the psychiatrists need to know. So outside of that, I think that we pretty much covered everything, right?
Yep.
Great summary.
Yeah. So I think we're good with case study number 3, Brother Justin.